Hi, I'm Steve from YourCreativeLife.com, talking today about how to make a professional ask. Now, the reason I'm making this video is something recently happened to me that I wanted to share with you. And this happens actually quite a bit for me and probably lots of other successful TV writers and film writers out there who have a presence on social media. So I got a direct message from somebody who said, "Hey, I would love to share with you my book. Are you interested?" Curious to know whether it would be a good TV series or feature film, I think it was. Anyway, this led me to realize that there's something to be learned for people out there who are not in the industry and those of you who are in the industry about how to make a professional ask. So there were a couple of things that I really found challenging about that request. And I definitely answered the person politely and succinctly. But here's the deal. Number one, I don't know that person. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. I don't know anything about her property. What is her book? What's it about? What's it like? When does it take place? Who's it about? What are the themes? Is it a drama? Is it a comedy? Is it close to the things that I write? Is it not close to the things that I write? And the third thing was I wasn't really sure what she wanted from me. Was it just an evaluation as to whether it could make a good TV show or film script? Was it an approach from me specifically to try to adapt something? Was she asking about the way it works in the industry? Was she asking about my opinion of the material? Was she, I wasn't really sure. And so, with so many questions, you can imagine for me and anybody else in the industry who's working on his or her own, their own projects and taking meetings and trying to get work and all sorts of things, it becomes a lot to begin to navigate through and around a request like that, which is so vague. So I want to talk a little bit about how you make a professional request if you do. And the number one thing I want to say is not a great idea to do it on social media. It's really not great. And you should look at some of the videos that I have on this channel about networking to recognize that the thing you want to do most of all before you make any kind of ask in the industry is build a bridge toward the people that you're talking to. That means to be vouched for, to have a friend recommend you, or perhaps it's somebody you went to high school with, or have an agent or manager recommend you, or a lawyer if you have those connections. But to go in cold to a complete stranger and say, "Hey, can you read my book? Or would you evaluate my material?" is really kind of a non-starter. So in order to make any professional ask, the first thing that I suggest really is to have or build that bridge. And if you don't have or have built that bridge, which of course I think on some level is unfortunate, at the very least, you should introduce yourself. Something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm so and so, and I do this and this. I've come from this place and I have a PhD in such and such, and I've been studying anthropology for years and I love television," or something like that, that gives some context to who you are. Hopefully that can be witty and attractive and interesting in some sort of way. Look for my video on how to introduce yourself to hear more about that. But once you give yourself context, then give context to what you're talking about. It's so important to give a log line, to give a description, a genre, and also perhaps to say why it comes from you and why it connects to your heart. So something like, "I've got a book about the first, I don't know, Black astronaut to go up into space, who happens to have been my fifth cousin. And I am so connected to this story of bravery and excitement, and I really want to tell it for a television audience. And I would love to tell you more about it. And here's a log line, this particular story. Here's a story about this person trying to do this in spite of that," right? And so suddenly with those things, some sort of introduction and context about you, some sort of introduction and context about your material, and a log line, then you might give a very specific ask. And I would say really make it bite size again in the professional world. Something along the lines of, "I'm wondering if I could talk to you for 15 minutes about what the industry requires in order to take this piece and make it into a feature film. Or I'd love to find out about how you coach people so that I could actually hire you to read this book or read this script and give me notes. Or I'd love to sit down with you for 30 minutes and talk about your journey into the industry, right? Any of these things that are bite-sized and specific are much more helpful than sort of a general blanket thing where suddenly it seems like you're obligating whoever it is to, I don't know, read a 300-page book without knowing you, without knowing what the material is, evaluating it, and right, all of these things are and can be super complicated. And it simply takes the storytelling magic that you already have to slice and dice these requests down to very specific things so that it's super clear, crystal clear to anybody you approach who you are, what you're asking for, what the limits and specifics are. And then that at least gives that person, whoever they are, me or somebody else, a simple opportunity to look and evaluate by those criteria and say, yeah, I can help that, or no, I really don't have time, or I don't do those things. But to have some sense, some frame of reference about what you're actually asking. So I hope you get how important that is in the professional industry and how difficult and confusing it is to not get those kinds of specifics. And the most important thing, I will repeat, is to build that bridge beforehand, which involves networking or having somebody vouch for you, whether it's a university or a friend or an agent or a manager or a lawyer. Those are the most important things because Hollywood is incredibly social. And if you're going to make any kind of ask at all, which I definitely recommend doing rarely, you want to do it in the context of having somebody who knows you and trusts you even a little bit. Because otherwise, it's sort of like, I don't know, getting on the subway and somebody saying, hey, person on the subway, you want to, read my script? It's kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't know you, right? So you want to break through all those barriers, and that is the way to do it. And I hope that's useful to you both now and in your writing career going forward. Give this video a thumbs up if you appreciated it, and subscribe to this channel because I post brand new videos every single week right here about the writing life and all sorts of tips and tricks and tools in Hollywood. Check out yourcreativelife.com, which is the hub for all things coaching, where you can find out how I can directly help you in your TV writing life. And listen to the Secret Writer Podcast, which is our podcast that comes out just about every week with me and Nick Job, who's a writing consultant, where we talk about the inner lives of writers. And also at yourcreativelife.com, you can sign up for the free newsletter that comes out once a month. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.